Hi, and welcome to the second Tuesday educational event, Secret Sauce to Weight Loss. I'm Health Coach Heather, and this is a really fun educational presentation about how to lose some weight. All right, let's go to the first slide here. And we're just diving right in. So I want you to get out a piece of paper, grab a pen or a pencil, and I want you to jot down what comes to your mind when you think of weight loss. So I have this picture here, and it might help jog some ideas for you. When you think of weight loss, do you think of, oh gosh darn it, I have to cut my portions and I'm going to be hungry all of the time? Or do you think of, well, I think I need to go on a low carb diet, but I just love pizza? And so sometimes these things go through our head when we think about all the things that we're giving up in order to cut calories, to lose weight. So take a moment for yourself and jot down whatever comes to your mind when you think of trying to lose some weight. When you look at what you've written down, are they more positive thoughts or are they more negative thoughts? Sometimes you can think of losing weight as, well, I've done it before and I felt really nice. I feel like I could do it again. So there are some positive thinking to weight loss. Oftentimes I hear people say that they want to lose some weight, but they really just don't feel like going to the gym and trying to learn all of these weights or cardio machines. Other people think about eating nice, big, healthy salads, and that makes them feel excited, like, oh, that made me feel good. Other people have also associated weight loss with some exercise and just going out in nature and feeling good and moving the body. That does help burn calories. And then there's some, again, it's just like, oh man, I have to eat healthy food. That sounds plain, that sounds boring, that sounds time consuming. So I just want you to be aware of what the majority of your thoughts are, what your attitude is towards just the losing weight process, which is, as most of us know, eating a healthier diet and moving around more. Those are the two major things that we're going to talk about today. But we always start first with mindset. Okay, so most of us know how to lose weight. We know what to do. It's not a matter of just not knowing. But when the rubber hits the road about actually making these choices, what are we going to do? Are we going to just go with our regular habit and our regular routine, which is probably what got us in trouble in the first place? Or are we going to start cognitively, consciously, and awarely make more positive, healthy choices to help with weight loss? Now, sometimes this works, and sometimes it just feels like plain overwhelm. It might be too much, too fast, and the thought process can be fairly difficult to wrap your head around everything that you feel like you're supposed to be doing. So the very best place to start for weight loss is to know your why. You want to get really clear on your intention as to why you want to lose weight in the first place. So a really good tip here is to try to make your why positive. For instance, you can say something like, well, I want to lose weight because I want to feel good and confident in my body again. Versus, well, I want to lose weight because I'm just tired of feeling overweight. I can't fit in my clothes and I don't like that. So both of those statements, you're wanting to lose weight. One just has a positive feel to it. And that's kind of what we're going for. We want to associate eating healthy and exercising and moving in a more positive light, not such a restrictive, limiting aspect. Eating healthy foods are important to my well-being versus, well, I can't have this. My doctor says so. I can't eat those French fries, too many calories and too much salt. So we just want to flip the way that we're thinking just a little bit. But the most important thing is to know exactly why you want to lose weight. And so sometimes it could be because somebody's asking you to. But what I'd really, really like to hit home as part of this presentation is that I would love your why to be something that is a part of you, something that means something deeply for you, such as, I would love to lose some weight because I know I would feel better and I really want to be there for my family in a way that I don't feel like I have been. And I want to give that effort so I can become a better person. So that is something that's an internal why. And it's much more profound than something out in the environment, such as, let's see here. Well, my doctor says I need to lose weight, so that's something that I guess I should just willpower through. So there's not this same motivational level, there's not that same internal reward, there's not that same positive feeling. So we're looking for what positive feeling that you can get yourself to feel as far as being healthy for yourself. I love this quote here. Losing a pound isn't necessarily a reward. Being healthy and feeling good about yourself is the reward. So that's the end goal, feeling good about yourself. Okay, so we all know that part of losing weight is looking at the food that you're eating. One of the eating principles is high nutrient food. This is opposite from high caloric density food. So let's get into that a little bit so we can, so you can know what I mean here. Okay. There's this beautiful picture here about what 500 calories looks like within different categories. Oil and fat is what we call a high calorie food. That makes sense. So about a tablespoon of oil is around 100 calories. Well, most of us even use it more than a tablespoon on our salad. So that kind of just gives you an idea about how much oil that we might use or have in our foods. Sometimes it's even hidden in our foods and we don't know it. And it could be sabotaging weight loss. If you look on the other end of the spectrum, the grains, beans, and the fruits, vegetables, you can get much more volume. You can eat much, much more and be full within that 500 calories. That fills the stomach up. Why? Because grains, beans, fruits, and vegetables have a lot of fiber in them. They have a lot of vitamins and minerals in them, and that is what the body needs. We eat so we can feel energized. And in order for that to happen, we need to eat foods that are energizing, that provide us those nutrients that we need. So we look for high nutrient food, the whole fruit, whole vegetables, whole grains, whole legumes, and beans, that category. So, so that's good news that we can actually eat more and not feel so hungry when we're eating the right foods. And those are the high nutrient density foods, which also means that you're eating low fat, more low fat foods, more high fiber foods. Okay, well, that sounds well and good, right? Well, it can be a little bit more tricky than that, as most of us probably know. So there's this thing that we all have called an appetite, and our appetites are sort of geared towards different foods. And oftentimes the foods that we go for are more of a habit. So if you're a busy person and you have a lot on your plate, you might go for more fast food because it's just kind of what's convenient for you. And the food industry really knows that you just don't want the same plain old boring chicken nuggets or, just a plain burger all of the time, because our appetite is actually for variety. Now, we look for variety in foods because that's what we needed to do to survive as a species. When we were hunter and gatherers, we needed to look around for different types of ways we could get nutrients. If we only just focused on eating berries, we miss out on the tubers and the grains and some other stuff that we would need. There's some herbs to really help support us and to keep us surviving. So variety is supposed to help us. And if you look at the top picture, there is all of these colorful foods. Your foods are meant to be very, very colorful. It ensures that you're getting the right amount of vitamins and minerals and nutrients and fiber. So the top picture is the correct way to look at variety. You've got your black beans, you've got your red tomatoes, you've got your green lettuce, you have a side of something green. I think that might be an avocado dip or some sort of cilantro or spinach sauce. And that looks Mexican, so I'm guessing it's an avocado cilantro dip. And so, and then there's a sort of a bottom picture too. Again, you have your yellow, you have your greens, you have that wild rice in there for the fiber. And so that's actually what our body craves. But as I said before, the commercial food industry knows this. So they try to make their ultra processed foods much more appetizing. If you look at the bottom picture, that looks great. I see red, I see green, I see yellow, I see there's black in there, which, from the top picture, those are the black beans representing nutrients and fiber. The bottom picture, there's a black bun hamburger, and so we associate, with fiber, black beans, nutrients, but they've tricked us. That's all super processed foods. But because we're geared towards that, that's what we're going to eat. And it's so much more convenient to pick up a burger at the fast food restaurant or something of the sort than to sort of take some time and meal prep something that you'd see on the top picture. So this is kind of unfair, and I think that this is what really this is a big challenge in our daily lives because of our schedules and the way that basically we've been food hijacked. That's what Dr. Greger calls it on this video that I'm about to show you about how appetite works. So let's hear from nutritionfacts.org from Dr. Greger. He does speak a little bit fast, so if you want to look at this video again, you can go to his website, nutritionfacts.org, and it is also on the Morris Health YouTube channel, so you can find it there as well. All right, let's press play.
Without satiety, food can be a death sentence. Protein is often described as the most satiating macronutrient. People tend to report feeling fuller after eating a protein-rich meal compared to a carbohydrate or fat-rich one. The question is, does that feeling of fullness last? From a weight loss standpoint, satiety ratings only matter if they end up cutting down on subsequent calorie intake. And even a review funded by the meat, dairy, and egg industries acknowledged that this does not seem to be the case for protein. Hours later, the protein consumed earlier doesn't tend to end up cutting calories later on. Fiber-rich foods, on the other hand, can suppress appetite and reduce subsequent meal intake more than 10 hours later the next day because its site of action is 20 feet down in the lower intestine. Remember the ileal brake from my evidence-based weight loss lecture? Secretly infused nutrients into the end of the small intestine, and people spontaneously eat as many as hundreds of fewer calories at a meal. Our brain gets the signal that we're full from head to tail. Remember, we were built for gluttony. It's a hedge against times of scarcity. Stumbling across a rare bounty, those who could stuff themselves the most to build up the greatest reserves would be more likely to pass along their genes. So we are hardwired, not just to eat until our stomach is full, but until our entire digestive tract is occupied. Only when our brain senses food all the way down at the end does our appetite fully dial down. Fiber-depleted foods get rapidly absorbed early on, though, so much of it never makes it down to the lower gut. So if we're eating low fiber, no wonder we're constantly hungry and overeating. Our brain keeps waiting for the food that never arrives. That's why even people who have stomach stapling surgeries, leaving them with a tiny 2-tablespoon-sized stomach pouch, can still eat enough to regain most of the weight they initially lost. Without sufficient fiber transporting nutrients all the way down our digestive tract, we may never be fully satiated. As I described in my last video, one of the most successful experimental weight loss interventions ever reported in the medical literature involved no fiber at all, though. What was going on with that? At first glance, it might seem like a no-brainer that removing the pleasurable aspects of eating would cause people to eat less. But remember, that's not what happened. The lean subjects continued to eat the same amount, taking in thousands of calories a day of the bland goop. Only those who were obese dropped from eating thousands of calories a day down to hundreds. This happened inadvertently, without them apparently even feeling a difference. Only after eating was disconnected from the reward was the body able to start rapidly reining in the weight. See, we appear to have two separate appetite control systems, the homeostatic system and the hedonic system. The homeostatic pathway maintains our calorie balance by making us hungry when energy reserves are low, and abolishes our appetite when energy reserves are high. In contrast, our hedonic, or reward-based regulation, can overwhelm our homeostatic pathway in the face of highly palatable foods. This makes total sense from an evolutionary standpoint. In the rare situations in our ancestral history when we'd stumble across some calorie-dense food like a cache of unguarded honey, it would make sense for our hedonic drive to jump into the driver's seat to gobble up the scarce commodity. Even if we didn't need the extra calories at the time, our bodies wouldn't want us to pass up that rare opportunity. Such opportunities aren't so rare anymore, though. With sugary fatty foods around every corner, our hedonic drive may end up in perpetual control, overwhelming the intuitive wisdom of our bodies. So, what's the answer? Never eat really good-tasting food? No, but it may help to recognize the effects hyper-palatable foods can have on hijacking our appetites and undermining our body's better judgment. Ironically, some researchers have suggested a counterbalancing evolutionary strategy for combating the lure of artificially concentrated calories. Just as pleasure can overrule our appetite regulation, so can pain. Conditioned food aversions are when we avoid foods that made us sick in the past. That may just seem like common sense, but it's actually a deep-seated evolutionary drive that can
Okay. So that was from Dr. Greger's video, Food Hijack, and we just saw a portion of the video explaining appetite pathways. And so let's go over that again. So Dr. Greger explained that there are two types of appetite pathways. There's the homeostatic pathway, and that's when we eat what we need to eat. There's sort of this sense, this intuitive sense that we eat when we're hungry and we stop when we're full. And we sort of maintain this calorie balance. And so in that study that he was referring to from a previous video, it showed that people of a healthy weight automatically, intuitively sensed how many calories they were supposed to eat versus overeating. And that was with, they had people sort of take in this nutrient dense goop, which doesn't sound pleasant at all. But what it did is they were trying to measure what is the difference between a healthy weight person and an overweight person. They really wanted to get to the bottom of this. So what it was is that the healthy people, no matter if it was pleasurable food or not, maintained a calorie balance. And what happened to the overweight people was when they took in that goop, they actually started losing weight because there was something taken away from them. And that was this pleasurable experience that sort of override their system. That's called the hedonic pathway, and that's based on a reward system. So this is all of us have done this at one time. So this is a really good example of these two pictures right here. The homeostatic pathway, how you sort of get back to this intuitive sense of how you're supposed to be eating and maintaining your calories, is through basically a whole plant-based diet. You need your vegetables, you need your vitamins, you need your nutrients within that food. And you can see that there's this girl, and she has her fork, and she has her plate, and she has her salad, and she has her water. So she's needing everything, she's getting everything that she needs, and she's being very mindful about it. What tends to happen is that many of us go for the ultra-processed, hyper-palatable foods. And this tends to not have very much fiber to it. And it tends to be overly salty, overly sweet, sort of fake crispy, like French fries versus a carrot. And so this overrides our system, and it makes us think that we're still hungry, because first of all, we're not getting the proper nutrients that our body needs. And secondly, the hyper palatable food, the processed food, is overdriving our system. It's hitting the reward system a little bit too much. And so then we just kind of keep on eating. So it overrides our body's innate wisdom, which is huge. So how do we break that cycle of knowing, okay, this is how much I need to eat, and knowing that, your body actually knowing that without you overeating. So here we have what I call, or what this is called, the primary food principle. And there's this whole bigger plate that we have to take into consideration when we're looking at a holistic way to lose weight. So you see that there's primary food, and that's that big white plate circle. And in the primary food, we have so much more than just actual food. We have, are we getting enough spiritual connection? Are we having loving relationships? Are we getting enough physical movement? How is our careers? How is our finances? So this is all about a different way of looking at how we feed ourselves. It's not just about the food that we're intaking. It's a bigger picture. And so when we sort of look at things from a different perspective, rather than just, I'm hungry, I need to eat, we can kind of take a step back and be like, okay, I'm feeling hungry. Is it because I'm truly, truly hungry? Or is it because there's some aspect of my life which isn't going very well, and I'm kind of using food to maybe numb the emotion, or to just not want to deal with it right away. So we have to ask ourselves from a primary food principle, what are we truly feeding ourselves? Are we feeding ourselves love, self-care, or are we feeding ourselves anxiety from watching too much news or distracting ourselves with our phone as we're eating? We really want to be aware of what we're truly surrounding ourselves with. And that's because what we surround ourselves with can affect our mood, and our mood can directly affect what we choose to eat. So this can really make a huge difference in your food choices when you stop to think about the big primary food picture. Secondary food is what we actually eat as food. That's the literal food. So take a look at the broad picture, and you want to ask yourself, write it down on that piece of paper. How is my spiritual connection? Do I have one? How are my relationships with my friends, my families, my coworkers, the people that I'm close to? Do I get enough physical activity? Am I constantly worried about my job or finances or some financial aspect? So this does come into play, and it is part of the awareness and the innate wisdom that we have in our bodies. Okay, so this is also called mindful eating. And so sometimes you want to ask yourself questions. Even if you find yourself in a place of stress, or you're eating just because you feel like it, you can stop and just ask yourself, why am I eating this? Is it because I'm truly hungry? Do I truly need the nutrients from this? Do I truly need the energy from this? Or am I just trying to distract myself because I don't want to do something else? Or is it because I feel alone, or I feel sad and I don't want to feel that way anymore, so I'm just going to eat something? So these are different types of ways that you can have more an awareness about what's really going on, because it's just usually not about hunger alone. We are very connected, and we're very interconnected as a group. So experiment with looking at other aspects of your life. Okay, so a lot of this, many of these PowerPoint slides have been based off of Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Diet and How Not to Diet Cookbook. And in the cookbook, he came up with 21 tweaks to boost the metabolism. 21. You don't have to do all 21. You can kind of pick the ones that resonate with you the most. And so I picked top 5. Now, these are very basic, top 5, and I know that you've heard of these before, but they are so important that they are worth looking at again. Being hydrated is huge. Sometimes we're not hungry, sometimes we're thirsty. Drinking water before meals can absolutely help with appetite. And then sipping water throughout the day really helps curb appetite as well if you are just dehydrated and not hungry. Sometimes those two get mixed up because there's a lot of water in whole foods. There's a lot of water in cucumbers, tomatoes, lettuce. And so oftentimes we're just kind of going for the water in those whole foods. So if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, then you are getting in a lot of the water that way too, which is good. That's very beneficial for you. Enjoy undistracted meals. That's what we were talking about before with the mindful eating. And we talked about it in the primary food plate as well. And even the slide before that, the lady who was sitting down at a table with a plate, she had a fork and her knife, and she was very present with her food. So connecting with your food, connecting with your environment, that is and finding the joy in that is something quite special that I implore everybody to utilize. Following the 20-minute rule, that is not eating until you're absolutely stuffed. Wait 20 minutes if you're still hungry from your portion controlled meal. And then see if after 20 minutes you're still very hungry, then okay, maybe you didn't eat enough. You can go back and have a snack. But waiting that 20 minutes is vital to truly know if you're still hungry or not. Getting enough sleep. Yes, we've all been there before. We don't get quality sleep. We wake up kind of tired, so we want to grab something that is energy dense. And that means more of the high calorie, high sugar, highly processed food, because it just goes into our system very quickly, gives us the boost that we need, and we can go on our way. Yes, but it doesn't last for too long, but it's not exactly what our body needed. And there's this dreadful crash, probably early on than we wanted. So getting enough quality sleep is crucial to the weight loss process. And then move your body. Absolutely. This is vital. So let's go ahead and talk about moving the body. So I titled this Burn Fat Without the Burnout. So before I get into that, let's just talk about the exercise guidelines. Aerobics, 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week. 150 minutes, moderate exercise a week for just aerobic. And then we have strength training, 2, possibly 3 days a week, incorporating every major muscle group. Now, traditionally speaking, this can take anywhere, I would say about 30 minutes, but sometimes it takes 60 minutes, just sort of depending on the routine that you have. Okay, the exercise guidelines include stretching, flexibility. Now, this can be done every day, at least 2 days a week. And then there's also this additional sort of balance, Tai Chi, neurobalance, brain gym activities that are sort of added into that as well. And this can be done anywhere from every day to at least 2 days a week. So if you think about it, you're getting aerobic, you're getting strength training, you're getting in your stretching, and then maybe you're getting in some yoga or Tai Chi or brain gym. So that is about probably an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour a day, more or less. Okay, now you're thinking, well, there's 24 hours in a day, and this is about an hour. So if you look at it from that point of view, that doesn't seem so bad. However, most likely you have your day planned. Waking up, you have your morning routine, there's appointments, there's seeing the grandkids, there's all of this stuff. There's doctor's appointments and dentist appointments, and there's traffic, and I mean, there's all sorts of things that happen in a day where that hour might seem daunting. It might seem tedious. It's like, how do I get that in? I don't even think that I can move that much. I would be exhausted if I did that. I wouldn't be able to finish the rest of my day. So oftentimes we stop before we even truly start. All right, so the way to prevent burnout is to start quite small. You don't have to take all of that in one big bite. Start with 5 minutes a day. If you are not used to exercising, or you feel like you get very little movement within your day, you can start with 5 minutes, just 5 minutes a day. So this is an addition to your daily activities. So if you went to the grocery store and got in your steps, that's great. If you normally walk your dog in the morning, that's great. This is an addition to what you're already doing in your day, 5 minutes. We have a 2-minute walk in place. You don't have to walk in place. You can walk around the house. You can walk forward and back. This is just a general warm-up movement. There's 1 minute of step jacks. And a step jack is where you step out, your feet are together and you step out with your right leg and you raise both hands up overhead, and then you bring both hands down and you bring both feet together. Then you step out with your left leg and bring your hands overhead. So, you're simulating a jumping jack, but that's not high, it's not as high impact, it's very low impact for the joints. If you have achy, squeaky joints, you do a step jack. If you don't, then by all means, you can do 1 minute jumping jacks. That will really get your heart rate up. 30-second squats. Okay, so again, you don't have to go down into a full squat, but if you are acting like you're gonna sit in a chair and you stand back up again, that can count as a squat. 30 seconds, as fast as you can go. And a 1 minute plank. So we'll talk about the planks in a couple slides after this, and then a 30-second walk in place as a cool down. All right, so we're looking at 5 minutes of solid, focused movement. And if you can do that within 5 minutes, then you can add in another 5 minutes somewhere else in the day. 5 minutes is much more, it seems much more doable than just taking out a chunk of a 30-minute session. If you're having a busy day, or if you're like, man, I'm tired, I didn't sleep well, or this happened or that happened, then 30 minutes might just seem too much. Break it down to 5 minutes and start from there. Little movement is so much better than no movement at all. All right, there's also something called the 4-minute workout. And let's see if I can move okay. So I have a link to this in the Morris Health YouTube channel playlist. Go to the playlist and you will find this video and you can follow along to the video. Now again, your squats in this picture, they don't have to be that low. Again, if you're scooting the hips back, like you're sitting in a chair, you don't have to do a full-on squat if you're not comfortable with that. So here we have the alternating arm raise, and it's pretty much exactly what that picture is. Now this is a no jumping jack. So here they're just using just the arms in that sort of jumping jack motion. And that's absolutely fine. And then a shoulder press, and that's this, just raising the arms above the shoulders. If you have any type of shoulder issue, you don't have to go too far. It can just be a little bit. So that's ways to modify the workout if it's not conducive to the way that you move. Okay, we can modify that. And then again, you can come and see me as a health coach and a personal trainer, so I can help you with these exercises to make sure that you're doing them correctly and safely. And also whatever needs to be modified, I can help you modify that exercise so that you're still moving and you're being safe. Okay, so here's that plank. So busy day, very, very tired, all of the stuff that happens. 1 minute. I have a 1 minute exercise for you right here. This is the 1 minute plank. Now you can do this with a straight arm, as you see with this male picture, or with a forearms with the female. And both of those are okay. It's sort of a preference. The straight arm is easier, in my opinion, but sometimes people feel like it puts too much pressure on their wrists. So then you would go down to the forearm. And if it's too challenging, start with 30 seconds, start with 15 seconds. Getting in that movement in there is vital. Whatever you can do, you can do 10 seconds and then kind of throughout the day, do a few more. That way you're moving. Anytime you're moving, you're burning calories. So the more movement that you get in your day, in addition to your daily activities, the more calories that you'll be burning, and you won't have that burnout of that huge chunk of time that is just might fatigue you for the rest of the day. So this is a really good place to start if you're a beginner or if you tend to get fatigued very easily. or if you're just not used to moving. Try these plans first, and then you slowly add on. It's a beautiful way to get into some exercise, feel positive about it without the super sore muscles, the fatigue, the burnout, basically. So I hope that was helpful for you. All right, so let's recap everything that I've discussed in this presentation. So number one is mindset. We really want to start using positive words. I want to feel better about my body. I would feel more confident if I was able to lose a few more pounds. My back will feel better. My joints would feel less achy. So we really want to go through those positive aspects. We talked about healthy eating. What we're going for is adding in the vegetables, adding in the whole grains. And that's your rolled oats, that's your beans. Beans is huge. The more beans that you can add into your diet, the better, because that's fiber, that's protein, that's vitamins, that's minerals. And if you incorporate that into your meals, you're going to feel full, you're going to feel satiated for much longer. And then the hydrating fruits and vegetables, there's water in those. Water is so important. It's extremely important to stay hydrated. So the more that you can get in those whole vegetables, the bell peppers, the tomatoes, you know which vegetables you like, incorporate them into what you're already doing. Eat more of them and you will start to feel the difference. Vegetables are not a lot of calories, and they fill you up and they provide the vitamins and the nutrients and minerals that your body needs. So it's a perfect recipe to help you lose weight. And then the movement. So the movement is it can be any type of movement, really. So the more that you're moving around throughout your day, the more calories you'll be burning, and the more your body will just feel better. But remember, if you are not used to moving around too much, you start out slow. It's easy to get motivated and jump in too quickly with something and then have burnout. So start slow and slowly build your way up to that. All right. So here, at the end of the day, all we want to do is feel better. We just want to feel better. So being grateful for what you have and knowing that you're taking the first step in becoming a healthier person, there in itself is deeply, deeply gratifying. So hold that space for yourself. Know that you can do this and know how good it's going to feel when you start. All right. Time will pass, whether you do this or not. So what are you waiting for? Any notes that you've taken down throughout this presentation, bring them to the next health coaching session. I'll be more than happy to go over this with you. That's why I am here. I'm here to help you through these steps. I'm here to support you, and I'm here to offer clarity and guidance through this journey of exercise, of eating healthier food, of just feeling better in general. So I implore you to call and set up an appointment with me as your health coach, even if you've just seen me recently and you're like, maybe that I've been working on this challenge, it doesn't seem to be going for me quite right. Make another appointment. I can really help you get clear on your goals, on your intention, and really help you get on the right steps to your well-being. So I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. And again, I am here for you. The Morse team is here to support you. And I hope that you just have a really great experience with your weight loss journey. Thanks.